Stories of Maharaj Rishabdev we will continue, and we will also discuss today the glories of Maharaj Bharat. So let's get into the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatu Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We will today discuss about the chapter 6 to 10 of Canto 5. Day before yesterday, we ended with chapter 5, and we will do now the next 5 chapters. Before that, we will announce the quiz participants for session 27. On YouTube is Janeshwar Gauranga Prabhu, Shweta Manjiri Mataji, Geeta Varadarajan Mataji, Vijeta Mataji, Vrindavani Mataji, Shweta Surya Narayan Mataji, Barsana Chitra Mataji, Shweta Mataji, Shyama Supriya Mataji, Ranjani Gopika Mataji, and Meena Mataji. Thank you so much for participating in the quiz. And we will start with the activities of Lord Rishabdev, then to the activities of Maharaj Bharat. Remember, we are discussing the dynasty of Maharaj Priyavrata. All right? Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we start with chapter 6, the activities of Lord Rishabdev. Maharaj Parikshit, he asked Shukdev Goswami, why, considering that Rishabdev was completely pure in heart, why did he neglect his mystic powers? Although he possessed so many mystic powers, it is said that a devotee of the Lord, a pure devotee, has all the 8 mystic siddhis within him. But they are very, very careful not to use it. Because if they use that mystic siddhi, they may get proud. And pride is something which Krishna cannot swallow in a devotee. Krishna cannot tolerate. If he sees that his devotee is becoming proud, he personally intervenes to correct the situation. And his devotee again comes back to his senses and takes shelter. In fact, Kama, Krodha, Mad, Matsarya. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mad, Matsarya. In this 6, Mada means pride. Mada means actually mad, being mad. Pride makes a person mad. And pure devotees are very, very careful to avoid any kind of pride. And so they stay away from mystic powers. Even though they have it, they don't use it unless it's absolutely needed for the preaching of the Lord, for the benefit of the Lord. Then they use it, but being very, very careful. Just like we play a kabaddi match. In the kabaddi match, one person goes to the next in the next team's area, and when he's there, he has to stop his breath and start and try to touch people. But as soon as he's about to lose his breath, he comes back. Similarly, a devotee goes out for preaching, but he's very, very careful. It's like he takes his breath in, goes out to preaching, touches people, converts their heart, but then he understands his limitation. If he loses his breath, he will stay there. So he comes back to recharge himself. So in this way, we should not be proud. So Shukadev Goswami said, do you know why Rishabdev was not using his mystic powers? Because of the nature of mind. He explains this treacherous nature of the mind. That this mind, even one who has full control of his mind, he should not put faith in the mind. Even one who has full control should not put faith in the mind. Rather, one should remain absolutely vigilant on the mind's action, just like an animal that you have just caught. It's always trying to move away. And the more the animal tries to move, the more you tighten the grip. So similarly, Maharaj Rishabdev, he wandered all over the earth as if he was a madman, like a Avadhuta. We explained in last time, Shukadev Goswami says he would just lie down and then stay there lying down. He would not take bath, he would not do anything. He would pass stool, urine right there. But his stool and urine used to have fragrance over 8 miles. So we should not imitate Lord Rishabdev. We cannot imitate. We should follow the Lord. There is a difference between Anusarana and Anukarana. Anukarana means to imitate, that you do as that person is doing. Anusarana means follow. Follow what that person is saying. So with the acharyas and everyone, we should do Anusarana and follow their example. Yeah. So later, so it is said that Maharaj Rishabdev, he wandered about the earth. He went through various kingdoms of Kannada, Konka, and this, in South India. This could be, some of the regions in South India. And then he came to a forest named Kuta Kachala forest. And there, it is said, the 2 bamboos, they just happened to cross each other. And there was a fire which came out. That fire burnt the entire forest, and along with it, the body of Lord Rishabdev burnt to ashes. Now the king of Konka, Katana, Kannada, the king of all these places, provinces, he heard about Lord Rishabdev. He saw Lord Rishabdev and he started imitating Lord Rishabdev. He also stopped taking any bath, stopped washing his mouth, and Shukadev Goswami said that this gave rise to another religion. And this king's name was Arihat. This Arhat king, he heard of these activities, and because of being influenced by Kali Yuga, he imitated Rishabdev. And he concocted a new system of religion. He gave up the principles of Varnashram Dharma. He would not follow Vedic scriptures in the name of imitating Lord Rishabdev, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Vedanta Krit, who's the one creator of the Vedas. This King Arhat, he did not follow these Vedas. So another system of religion came. I would not like to take the name of that religion, but it's very prominent also nowadays. But this King Arhat started it, imitating Lord Rishabdev. So the lessons we learn from this chapter is, even though a devotee is neither attracted nor he's averse to material opulences, but still we should not trust the mind because it will cause us fall down. We should not give up our austerities and penances of waking up early in the morning, chanting our rounds, following the regulative principles. And if this way we keep ourselves spiritually fit and always remain in the mood of the servant of the Lord, then going back home, back to Godhead is guaranteed. Also, one should follow the Vedic principles. One should not imitate the Lord. And those who so-called followers of Rishabdev, they think themselves that they are the Supreme Lord, and they do not respect the followers of the Vedic principles, the real Brahmanas. So this is the understanding of chapter 6, that how Lord Rishabdev descended, and by his example, he taught all of us to attain full satisfaction within in Krishna consciousness. Then we come to chapter 7, the activities of Maharaj Bharat, the eldest son of Rishabdev. If you may remember, in the teachings of Lord Rishabdev, Rishabdev mentioned to his 100 sons, your eldest brother, Bharat, follow him. If you follow him, you are following me. Bharat Maharaj, he's the great son of Maharaj Rishabdev. He ruled the entire earth. He was very affectionate to his citizens, and he performed so many different sacrifices to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Maharaj Bharat's devotion, because of his worship, it increased day by day by day because of engaging in devotional practices. And after he ruled the kingdom for thousands of years, he renounced his family, his kingdom, and he retired to a place called Pulaha Ashram. He gave up his kingdom to his sons, and then he went to his sons' brothers, and he went to Pulaha Ashram. He lived, he performed austerities. He was completely satisfied performing devotional service. In fact, he came to the penultimate stage of love of God, Bhava. Adau Shraddha tatha sadhu sangha tatha bhajana kriya tha anartha nivritti syat. Nishtha ruchi tatha asakti. Bhava and then prema. These are the 9 stages to love of God. And prema is the ultimate stage. The penultimate stage is bhava. If he would have just continued what he's doing, Maharaj Bharat would go to the prem stage. But something incredible happened. that slowly and steadily, it'll explain in the next chapter how these different things happened. But in this chapter 7, where there are only a very few verses, 14 verses, it is said that one can either renounce to the world, place wherein the Lord is present either personally or in the form of his Archa Vigraha, and can render devotional service according to the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam. But wherever we are, ecstasy results when we are engaged constantly in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this ends chapter 7. We go to chapter 8, the character of Maharaj Bharat. While Maharaj Bharat was meditating, and he chanted his mantra in the Pulaha ashram, he took compassion on one helpless deer calf born from a miscarriage when he saw that there was a lake nearby in his ashram, and this deer, doe, a female deer, was drinking water. And just then a lion came, and this lion started running towards the female deer. This female deer therefore jumped across the lake. And while she was jumping across, the lion felt that his food is escaping, and he roared. Because of the roar, the female deer got fearful, and there was a miscarriage in midair, and this baby deer fell into the lake, and it was helpless, struggling. The female deer crossed over. She looked at her baby deer. She was helpless. She didn't know what to do. She had to save her life. With very heavy heart, she had to leave. She left. Maharaj Bharat, he was performing his meditation, hearing the lion's roar. He woke up from his meditation and he saw this deer is just helplessly struggling for his life. He went into the lake, rescued the deer. But slowly, he was taking care of the deer. He became very affectionate to the deer. But slowly, steadily, that affection started converting into attachment. That attachment caused distraction into Maharaj Bharat's spiritual practices. He would perform meditation with closed eyes. Then he changed. He wanted to see that the deer, baby deer, is doing well. So he said, I will perform meditation, but with open eyes this time, so I can keep an eye on the deer as well. When he did that, slowly his mind started diverting, and his spiritual practices started getting compromised, and his attachment to the deer became more and more. When the deer was not present, it would go out into the jungle. In his illusion, Maharaj Bharat, he would lament, where is my deer? He would start worrying, where's the deer? Did any lion eat him? Will he come back? Sometimes it would say, maybe the deer just rejected me. I cared for the deer so much, and deer, this is what you did to me? And he would just lament. And then suddenly the deer would come back and he would become very happy. Whoa, dear, I'm sorry. I thought you rejected me, but you still love me. Oh, I love you so much. And his attachment would increase more and more. And then he would become filled with anxiety and fear for deer's safety. And then he would play with the deer and lose himself in all of that. And so slowly, steadily, due to his attachment to the deer, Maharaj Bharat fell down from his renunciation. And in due course of time, he died at the time of death. This deer came beside him. And this emperor, Maharaj Bharat, emperor of the whole world, king of the kings, who had become the greatest renunciant, the son of Lord Rishabdev, he left his body thinking of the deer. And he took his next birth as a deer. Now imagine, this is the son of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishabdev himself. He was so advanced in spiritual life. He was just one step away of love of God. Bhava. Imagine where we are. We are not at that level at all. We are still performing bhajana kriya. We are still, most of us are in the anartha nivritti stage. We have to go through nishtha, ruchi, asakti, and then bhava. Maharaj Bharat was already there, but because of his attachment, Srila Prabhupada says, if he was performing these austerities in the association of devotees, someone would have said, Bharat Prabhu, please be careful. I think you are getting a little too attached to the deer. And then Maharaj Bharat may have regained. That is the importance of the association of devotees. But again, because of Maharaj Bharat's previous rigid spiritual practices, Bharat Maharaj could remember his past life. He was a Jati Smara. Jati Smara means one who remembers his past life. And in the body of the deer, Maharaj Bharat knew that I was Maharaj Bharat. And what is the spiritual principles? And so this time, he made sure that he was always in the association of devotees. He would always roam around the hermitages of sages. And then slowly, he became detached from material life. And he traveled to Pulaha Ashram, the same place where he left his body, where he used to perform his austerities. And there itself, he gave up his dear body again. So one must be extremely cautious in our spiritual practices. Otherwise, a little material attachment, not affection, attachment, can cause us to fall down again into material existence. So we should make sure that we do not neglect the rules and regulations and regularly chant Hare Krishna mantra. We should make sure that we engage in compassion, not in material compassion, not in compassion for the body of others, not be in anxiety about the body of others, but about the soul, about spiritually elevating the souls. And third, we should be careful not to become attached to material things, which will cause our material bondage. So this is, we should just be attached to Krishna and not to sense gratification. Because if we take sense gratification again, then it is considered to be a purposeful thing, and then we will be punished for some time by the Lord. For some time. He will rescue us because we are devotees. But just to teach us a lesson, we may deserve this much, he'll reduce it, give it just enough punishment so that we wake up. That's very important. So this ends the chapter 8. We go to chapter 9, where it talks about the supreme character of Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat was what the deer became. Maharaj Bharat became the deer. The deer, after leaving the body, became Jada Bharat. He took his next body within the family of pious brahmanas. This time, he knew what mistakes he had done. He wanted to completely avoid those mistakes. He was known as Jada Bharata. Jada means dull. Jada Bharat means dull Bharat. Jada Bharat, even though his name was Dull Bharat, he was not dull, he was not dumb, but he would act as if he's dumb. just to avoid people, just to avoid materialistic association. He would remember his past births. So because of fear of intimate association with non-devotees, he constantly remembered the Lord. He remained aloof. He externally started acting crazy. And but internally, he was a learned scholar. He showed no interest in any studies, in nothing. But Jad Bharat's father and mother eventually died. And Jad Bharat was placed under the care of his cruel brothers, stepbrothers, cruel stepbrothers. They could not understand his exalted position. So they mistreated him. He was very badly mistreated, but he would not care. He would just continue his sadhana. It is said, first, when we become devotees, they will try to ridicule us. Then if we continue with our sadhana and they see that we are not really changing, then they will become angry. And if we still continue humbly with our sadhana, then they will appreciate our Krishna consciousness and our steadfastness. So just Jad Bharat, he was active as if he was a madman. He neglected his muscular body. He kept it dirty. He was always full of ash. He did not care for any palatable foods, nor did he care that he was continuously exploited by his brothers. But one day, while working for his brothers, as a watchman in the fields, like a scarecrow, his brothers would say, "You're good for nothing. Just go and stand like a scarecrow in the middle of the field, and at least the birds will be scared of you and not come and eat our grains." So Jad Bharat was very happy to do that. Yes, I will do that service. But then, one time when he was doing this, he was captured and kidnapped by some dacoits who planned to sacrifice him to goddess Kali. The dacoits, they kidnapped Jad Bharat. They brought him to the Kali temple. They planned to offer his blood in sacrifice to the goddess of Kali. And just as they raised their sword to sever the head of Jad Bharata, Mother Kali, she came out from her deity form. The deity form came out, started roaring. And see this, all of the dacoits became so afraid. What's going on? How did Kalima came? Why is she angry? She was angry because she was not able to tolerate the offense to such a great devotee like Jad Bharat. As Kali Ma, she emerged from the deity along with all her associates and ghosts and hobgoblins. She started beheading all the dacoits. You even thought of killing the devotee of my Lord? I will behead you. And she started dancing and singing, and she started drinking their blood. So we should always remember the Lord always protects his devotees who take shelter of his lotus feet. Come what may. He may take us to the edge to show us what it looks like, just like Jad Bharat was about to be severed. But then he protects in the end, as long as we maintain that faith till the end. So therefore, many of us, we have come to Krishna consciousness because of our executing devotional service in our previous birth. And we don't know why, but we automatically, some of the devotees were attracted to Krishna consciousness because of the previous birth. So that means we remembered our devotional service, not the exact details, we may not. Some of you may be able to remember that, but we remember the impressions that we have. So we should continue to not engage in any fruitive activities, following the example of Jadabharata, not anukarana, not imitating him, but following his instruction, his words. Even if a devotee is in extreme circumstances, as was Jadabharata, as he was offered to sacrifice to goddess Kali, this devotee, we should keep depending on Lord Krishna, and the Lord will give us protection. That's all he wants to test. Are we depending on him? That dependence on Lord Krishna, Krishnaika Sharanam, of the 26 qualities of a devotee. It is said that the 26th quality, Krishnaika Sharanam, is the only quality, is the primary quality of a devotee of Krishna. All the other qualities are secondary qualities. Mukhya guna and secondary guna. So this ends chapter 9. How Jadabharata was rescued by the Lord. And then when he was rescued, Mother Kali rescued him. He went away and he was roaming in the forest. We come to now chapter 10, the discussion between Jadabharat and Maharaj Rahugana. As Jadabharata was walking along the forest by the Ikshumati river, there was Maharaj Rahugana going in his palanquin. And he saw Jadabharata walking by. He said, "Hey, you look like a good man. Will you help? Will you assist us in carrying the king?" Jadabharata said, "Sure." So he was enlisted as the carrier of the king's palanquin, one of the carriers, one of the four. But Jadabharat, because of his non-violence, he was so compassionate, he did not want to step even on the ants and the insects that were in the forest, and he was trying to avoid stepping on them. And because of that, he had to go. He was going, topsy-turvy. And in this way, the palanquin was not stable, and it was moving. And all the other three kings' palanquin carriers, they got afraid that because of this one guy, we are going to get into trouble. We need to, and they started talking to him, "Hey, what are you doing?" Because if the king gets angry, he might execute everyone just because of this one guy. And Jadabharat, he didn't care. He said, "It's more important for me to make sure that I don't kill anyone." And then Maharaj Rahugana, he said, "Stop." He came out of the palanquin, and he was at first very, very soft with Jadabharat. He said, "My dear brother, what's going on? You appear that you're very fatigued because you've carried this palanquin without assistance for a long time, and you look very old. Maybe due to your old age, you've become very troubled. I also see you're not very firm, you're not very strong and stout. Aren't these other carriers cooperating with you?" And Jadabharat was just quiet. And the king said, all right, just be careful now." And he went inside the palanquin. And again, when the king saw that this palanquin was still being shaken by the carriers, he became very angry. And he said, "What are you doing? Are you dead?" These are the words he used. This is the verse. Text 7. "Are you dead despite the life within your body? Do you not know that I am your master? You are disregarding me, and you're not carrying out my order. For this disobedience, I shall punish you. Just as Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, punishes sinful people, I shall give you proper treatment so that you will come back to your senses." Hearing this, Jadabharata, he did not stop now. He replied to the king, "My dear king, whatever you have spoken so far sarcastically to me, in fact, you have told the absolute truth. These are not words of chastisement, for the body is the carrier. The load carried by the body does not belong to me. I am the spirit soul. You are right in saying that I'm not very stout and I'm not very strong, because I'm a spirit soul. I'm 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. I'm not this body. So you're right. There is no contradiction in your statements. I'm different from the body. I'm not the carrier of the palanquin. This body is the carrier. So I have not labored anything. You say that I'm not stout and strong. These words are befitting. The body may be fat or thin, but a soul is neither fat nor thin. So we should understand that. Also, my dear king, you have accused me of being dead, although I am alive. I can only say that this is the case everywhere, because everything in this material world has its beginning and end. Matter is dead. Only the spirit soul is alive. Today you are a king. I am your servant. You told me that you will chastise me, you will execute me, that you are my master. Today you are my master, I'm your servant. Tomorrow, I could be your master, you could be my servant. But neither of us are master nor servant. We are eternally the servant of the Lord. These are just temporary circumstances created by luck, by providence, by anything that you want to call, by karma. So don't worry about this. Jadabharata, he replied to the king in this way and showed him a glimpse of the spiritual path, the spiritual meaning of his insults. Whatever insults Maharaj Rahuguna was giving to Jadabharata, Jadabharata responded with the spiritual meaning. That's what we should do. When we are insulted, when we go through some trying circumstance, we should try to find the spiritual meaning behind it. That's why the Anusmarana is very important, that we try to understand what these great personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Pandavas in Mahabharata, Lord Ramachandra had to go through. We are going through a very minuscule of what they had to go through. And if we can somehow relate ourselves with the personalities, then the agony that we feel in our mind, we'll be relieved from that, because we'll be thinking about them, how they were feeling. We can use those feelings to actually transport ourselves into those personalities, into those pastimes. And that's the purpose of life, to absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness, to absorb ourselves in Srimad Bhagavatam, to absorb ourselves in chanting the holy names. How do we absorb ourselves? We can't just say, let me absorb myself, and it's not easy as just saying it. We have to use our feelings and transport into these pastimes. Then we'll be absorbed. Through the feelings, we can be absorbed. Just like when we chant the holy names, we chant with feeling, not just mechanically, ritualistically, but with feelings. Feelings of remorse and regret that we are separated from the Lord, feelings of separation. Feelings that I don't deserve, but I will still chant to make you happy. I beg, I'm helplessly dependent on you. Please help me. Crying out. With these feelings, we can transport ourselves into these, absorb ourselves into these pastimes. The king, Rahuguna, he could understand. This is not an ordinary person. And so, Jadabharata, he started picking up the palanquin just as before. Maharaj Rahuguna, he rushed from the palanquin. He fell down at the ground in respect for Jadabharata. And he began to offer prayers before this great exalted devotee, requesting him, please reveal to me your identity. Please forgive my offense and explain to me the instructions of the Lord. And then he, at the end of the chapter, he asks certain questions. And in the next chapters, Maharaj Jadabharata, he answers these questions, these very, very important questions of Maharaj Rahuguna. Maharaj Rahuguna was also a spiritually elevated soul. He was in search of a teacher who could answer his questions. His questions were, what is the most secure shelter within this world? How can I advance in spiritual life? If this world is not factual, then why are we able to visualize the effects of the interactions of the elements of this world? How is it possible that the soul, which is within the material body, is completely detached from the conditioning of the material body? How is that possible? So these were the questions. What is the most secure shelter? How can I advance in spiritual life? Why are we able to visualize the effects of interaction? How is it possible that the soul is in the body but not of the body? So these were the 5 questions that were asked, and we will discuss the answers to these next time. The first one was, what is the most secure shelter within this world? With this, I recognized, of course, we will hear what Jarbharat had to say, but I remember someone said, which is the most secure bank? Which is the most secure bank? And the devotee said, the bank of river Yamuna. On the bank of river Yamuna is the most, if you invest in the bank of river Yamuna, which is in Vrindavan, Rajadham, then your investment is eternal. Can any bank give that guarantee that whatever you invest in us, it'll be eternal? Only the bank of river Yamuna can do that. That is the most secure shelter in this world. So with this, we will end today's discussion and then come back next time to discuss more details about the instructions of Jadabharat to Maharaj Rahuguna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we will discuss the quiz for today. There are 10 questions for the quiz. What is committing Vaishnava offense compared to? Second, what is Anukarana and Anusarana? Third, who is the eldest son of Maharaj Rishabdev? Fourth, where did Bharat Maharaj perform his austerities? Fifth, what are the 9 stages of devotional service? Sixth, what is a person who remembers his previous life called? Seventh, what was the 3rd birth of Maharaj Bharat? Eighth, what is the primary quality of a devotee amongst the 26 qualities of a devotee? Ninth, what is the purpose of life? And 10th, what is the most secure bank? All right. So with this, we end today. If there are any questions, we can take. If not, then we can end. Okay, there is a question by Prajvani Mataji. It is said that we can't remember our previous life. Then how did Bharat Maharaj remember his previous life? Yes, generally we can't. But those who are very advanced, they can remember their previous life. They're called Jati Smara. Jati Smara means remember. Jati means what their previous life was. As we advance, even in this lifetime, as we advance spiritually, it will be revealed to us. What is our previous life? What were we in that previous life? In previous lives, how we have traveled. When we go back home, back to Godhead, we will remember all our previous lives. Just like the son of Maharaj Chitraketu, he came back He was brought back by the power of Narad Muni when he died. And then Maharaj Chitraketu said, my son, my son. And the son looked at him and said, which father are you? Are you the father? Which lifetime are you talking about? So because of karma, there are some people, because of karma, they can remember their reincarnation. There are so many stories. There is Ian Stevenson. He has written a book called 20 Cases of Reincarnation. He actually studied 2,000 cases of reincarnation of people who claimed reincarnation. Then he said, I will only study those who are less than 5 years old, of kids who have told about their reincarnation, because they will not cheat, they will not lie. And then he studied 200 of them, and then 20 cases. He said these are irrefutable cases. These cannot be explained except for reincarnation. So there are some people who can remember their previous lives. It's only out of some karma. Sometimes people say it's because of their bad karma. It is a good thing that we don't remember all our previous lives. Because if we remember the pain that we went through when we were rat and a cat came and ate us, the pain when we went through when we died and when we were being beaten up as when we were in the dog's body, we won't be able to live in this life if we keep remembering those bad memories. In order to live, we need hope. And these bad memories will not allow us to have any kind of hope. It'll suck all the positivity out of us. And so, as a mercy, the Lord makes us forget the details, but we remember the impressions. Sometimes people have phobia of heights or phobia of water. Why? Some have running phobia because there's some traumatic incident that may have happened in their previous life related to these elements. And because of that, they are having this phobia. So I hope that answers your question. Next, what is the difference in affection and attachment? We discussed this 2 days ago also, but I'm happy to explain again. Affection is natural. We should have affection towards our family members. We should care for them. We should love them. But it becomes attachment when we start neglecting our spiritual life. Just like Maharaj Bharat, it was good that he went and he saved that deer. That's out of affection, out of compassion. But then what happened later, where he allowed that affection to compromise his spiritual life? It turned into attachment. And that attachment is not good for our spiritual life. So even with our family members, we should develop affection, but it should not allow us to compromise our chanting of 16 rounds, of waking up in the morning, our associating with devotees, and all of these things. That is very important. And we can actually get with our family members together. And together we can all develop spiritually. We can all wake up together for Mangalarti. We can all help and encourage each other in spiritual life. That is real affection. Real attachment is attachment to Krishna. To Krishna, there is no end to the attachment, because that's the purpose. All right, I hope that answers it. In the last class, you said we have to deliver our dependence. What does the deliver means? Is it our duties, or it's regarding spiritual development? It's regarding attachment to Krishna. Deliver means we have to, as much as possible, provide opportunities to our family members and our dependents to remember Krishna, to develop attachment and love for Krishna. By having kirtan together, by associating with devotees, by performing sadhana together. All of these things, that way we can deliver the dependence from this material world by attaching them to Krishna. That is what it means by deliverance. All right. There is another question on Facebook by Divyangi Mataji. Prabhu, can you please elaborate on the difference between affection and attachment? That's what we just did. We just answered Prajwali. We just answered Menaka Thirumurugan Mataji's question. So I hope that has answered your question as well. Any other questions? All right. If not, thank you very much for participating today. Hare Krishna. One question? Oh, but if our dependence is not cooperation, I'm not sure if I understand your question, Raji Mataji. It says, but if our dependence is not cooperation, meaning, are you saying that those who are dependent on you are not cooperating with you? Oh, is not interested? Yeah, then that's what we said. We should just provide opportunities. If they are not listening, we should do our duty. Of course, we should not force them. The best thing we can do to make them interested is not force them, but follow ourselves properly by setting a good example, by ourselves being strict in our sadhana and being loving towards them. When they see that this person is so loving to me, they will change eventually. It will require patience. Sometimes it's not like we preach to them and we tell them, Srimad Bhagavatam says that I have to deliver you, so I'm going to hold you by your head and deliver you. No, not like that. It has to be by love, by a lot of patience, and by a lot of setting example and giving of love. Then their heart changes. We are changing the heart. And so, as long as we are doing our best and praying to the Lord and setting a proper example and giving them all the love, hoping that they will reciprocate, providing these opportunities, we are good. All right? Okay? Okay, so this is, of course, one Ma asked Manorakshi Mataji that what is the most secure bank? And we said the Bank of Yamuna. So the question is, why not Bank of Ganga? Yes, that is also the most secured. Is the Bank of Yamuna, Bank of Ganga. Mayapur is in the Bank of Ganga. And if we invest in the Bank of Ganga in Sri Mayapur Dham, it's eternal. All of the investment is eternal. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.